They told me that my daughter, that she was stabbed.
Did they say by who?
No, I don't know yet. They just need to turn themselves in. I'm lost. I'm hurt. I'm numb. I'm angry. And I want justice for my baby and my grandbaby.
An arrest in a Lowell woman's murder on Thanksgiving Day. Investigators have charged Leonard Robinson in the murder of Deja Jenkins-Minus. Jenkins-Minus was found dead in her home last Friday. Her 2-year-old daughter was with her but not harmed.
Thanksgiving 2021. A young mother sends one final text to her family. Be back soon. Just going to see him for a bit. She never came home. What police found 4 days later would shock an entire city. 22-year-old Deja Jenkins-Minus left her family's home in Boston that morning with her 2-month-old daughter, Delaney. She promised her mother she'd be back in time for Thanksgiving dinner. The turkey was ready. The table was set. Her chair sat empty. Hours passed. Her phone went silent. No calls. No messages. Nothing. Her family sent text after text. Dinner's ready. When are you coming? Please call us back. We're worried. At least let us know you're okay. But Deja never responded. When police finally entered the home on Llewellyn Street in Lowell, they discovered a scene so violent, so brutal, that it would haunt investigators for years to come. Deja had been stabbed 58 times. Her neck was fractured. Blood covered the walls, the floors, the kitchen. Her baby daughter was found alive. But her mother's killer had vanished. What happened in those final hours? And could this tragedy have been prevented? Welcome to Shadows of Crime. Before we go further into Deja's story, if you care about raising awareness on domestic violence and want to see more stories that matter, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Your support helps us reach more people who need to hear these important messages. It could save a life. Deja Jenkins-Minus was born on February 15, 1999 in Boston, Massachusetts. From the moment she could walk, she was full of energy and life. Her family knew early on that she was special, not because she demanded attention, but because she gave so much of herself to everyone around her. As a young girl, Deja joined the Dorchester Eagles Pop Warner cheerleading program. But she didn't just show up to practice and perform. She became a mentor to the younger girls on the team. She taught them routines, encouraged them when they felt nervous, and made sure every girl felt included. Her energy was contagious. When Deja walked into a room, people smiled. Deja was also proud of her Caribbean heritage. Every year she danced as a masquerader at the Boston Caribbean Festival, celebrating her roots with joy and pride. She wore colorful costumes, moved to the music, and brought her culture to life for everyone watching. Deja wasn't just kind to her friends and family. She was kind to everyone. She was the person who brought people together. At family gatherings, she made sure everyone felt welcome. Her cousins came to her for advice because they trusted her wisdom and knew she would listen without judgment. At school, Deja's kindness became legendary. If a classmate forgot their lunch, she would share hers without hesitation. If someone was struggling with their homework, she stayed after school to help them understand the material. She didn't do these things for recognition. She did them because that's who she was. Deja also had big dreams for her future. She wanted to build a career in early childhood development. She loved working with kids and wanted to create a stable, happy life where she could help others while providing for herself. She wasn't waiting for life to happen to her. She was making it happen. In September 2021, Deja's life changed forever when she gave birth to her daughter, Delaney. Motherhood brought Deja a joy she had never experienced before. She embraced her new role with the same grace and determination she brought to everything else in her life. Deja documented every moment of Delaney's early days. She created a special photo album on her phone and titled it My Greatest Blessing. It was filled with pictures and videos of her daughter's first smile, first bath, and every tiny milestone in between. Motherhood deepened the bond between Deja and her own mother. They talked every day about life, goals, and the joys and challenges of raising a child. Deja was determined to give Delaney the best life possible. She began exploring educational opportunities in early childhood development, inspired by her journey as a new mother. Deja Jenkins-Minus was a daughter, a mother, a mentor, and a friend. She was someone who made the world better just by being in it. In early 2021, Deja met Leonard Robinson at a local music event in Boston. Robinson went by the stage name Po' Boy D. Rose and was trying to make a name for himself in the city's rap scene. He performed that night, and friends remember how Deja was drawn to his charisma and his dreams of making it big in the music industry. Their relationship moved fast. Within weeks, they were posting about each other on social media. To anyone scrolling through their Instagram feeds, they looked like the perfect young couple. There were photos of them at music events wearing matching outfits, romantic dinner dates, and posts about Robinson's growing music career, with Deja supporting him every step of the way. When Deja got pregnant, they shared the news online. They posted excited updates about becoming parents. They had a baby shower that looked beautiful in pictures, friends, family, decorations, and smiles everywhere. From the outside, it seemed like they were building a future together. He was chasing his music dreams, she was supporting him while preparing for motherhood. Everything looked perfect, but it wasn't. What Deja's social media didn't show was the reality of who Leonard Robinson really was. While he posted about his music and his relationship, he was facing serious legal trouble. Robinson had 2 pending gun cases in Suffolk Superior Court. These weren't minor charges. They were serious enough that the court ordered him to wear a GPS monitoring device. He was released on $5,000 bail with strict conditions. He had to follow a curfew from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. every night. The GPS bracelet on his ankle tracked his every move. He was supposed to keep the community safe. It was supposed to hold him accountable, but court records later revealed something disturbing. In the weeks leading up to Thanksgiving, Robinson had violated his monitoring conditions multiple times, yet he remained free. The system that was supposed to protect people had failed. On social media, none of this existed. Robinson kept posting about his music, his performances, his life. Deja appeared in his videos, smiling and supportive. Their posts continued to show happiness and success. But friends started noticing changes in Deja. She seemed quieter, more withdrawn. Something was different even though she never said anything publicly. Then, in October 2021, just weeks after Delaney was born, Robinson's behavior took a cruel turn. He began posting on social media questioning whether he was actually Delaney's father. He demanded DNA tests. He made accusations. His posts weren't private conversations, they were public declarations that got attention across Boston's local music scene. This wasn't just drama, it was emotional abuse. Robinson would post loving content about being a father one day, then follow it up with hostile accusations about paternity the next. It created a psychological nightmare for Deja during one of the most vulnerable times in her life, the early weeks after giving birth. Despite everything, Deja maintained her dignity. She never responded to Robinson's accusations publicly. She didn't fight back on social media. She didn't air their problems for the world to see. But privately, it was a different story. Messages to her friends revealed how much distress she was in. She confided in them about the toll it was taking on her mental health. Robinson's posts weren't random outbursts. They were part of a pattern, a way to control, manipulate, and hurt Deja while maintaining his public image. One day he'd post loving father content, the next day he'd question paternity. It kept Deja off balance, never knowing what was coming next. This was the reality behind the perfect social media posts. This was the relationship Deja was trapped in as Thanksgiving 2021 approached. If this story is resonating with you, drop a comment below sharing your state or country. Let's build a community of awareness together. And if you haven't already, please like this video to help us reach more people with these crucial stories. Your engagement helps us spread these important messages to those who need to hear them, because what happened next shows exactly why recognizing these warning signs matters. Deja thought she was just going to see her baby's father for a quick visit on Thanksgiving morning. She promised her mother she'd be back in time for dinner. She had no idea what was waiting for her. But what happened on that Thanksgiving day? The answer is more horrifying than anyone could have imagined. Thanksgiving morning in the Matapan household started like any other holiday. The smell of turkey filled the air. The table was being set. Deja's family was preparing for their Thanksgiving celebration, excited to spend the day together. At 11:43 a.m., Deja sent a text to her family. It would be the last message they ever received from her. "Be back soon, just going to see him for a bit." Before leaving, Deja dressed her 2-month-old daughter, Delaney, in a special holiday outfit. She was excited about her baby's first Thanksgiving. She took photos, capturing the moment like she always did. She packed Delaney's diaper bag with everything the baby would need: bottles, diapers, extra clothes. She placed Delaney in her car seat and headed out the door. Security cameras captured Deja arriving at Leonard Robinson's home on Lowell Street in Lowell around noon. A neighbor, Roger Rondo, saw her pull up. He watched as she carried Delaney in the baby carrier along with the diaper bag. Robinson let her in. The neighbor noticed Deja smile and wave as she entered the house. Everything seemed normal, just a young mother bringing her baby to visit the father. Just a quick stop before heading back for Thanksgiving dinner. There was nothing about that moment that suggested what was about to happen. Hours passed. Deja's family waited. 1 o'clock came and went, then 2 o'clock, then 3. The turkey was ready. The food was getting cold, but Deja's chair remained empty. Her family started texting. At 1 o'clock p.m., "Dinner almost ready. When are you coming?" No response. At 3 o'clock p.m., "Please call us back. We're worried." Still nothing. At 5 o'clock p.m., "At least let us know you're okay." Silence. This wasn't like Deja. She always stayed in touch with her family, especially on holidays. She would have called. She would have texted. She would have posted photos of Delaney's first Thanksgiving on social media like she'd been excited to do. But her phone showed no outgoing calls, no messages, no posts. Nothing. GPS data would later reveal that both Deja and Robinson were at the Lowell Street residence until approximately 2 o'clock a.m. the following morning. But during all those hours, from noon on Thanksgiving Day until the early hours of Friday, Deja never once reached out to her family. The Thanksgiving dinner sat untouched on the table. What should have been a day of gratitude and celebration had turned into a nightmare of worry and fear. Deja's family knew something was terribly wrong. They just didn't know how wrong. As evening turned to night, Deja's mother, Latoya, couldn't shake the feeling that something bad had happened. She knew her daughter. She knew Deja would never just disappear without a word, especially not on Thanksgiving. Latoya used her phone's tracking feature to locate Deja's device. It showed her daughter's phone was still at Robinson's address on Lowell Street in Lowell. Despite the late hour and the darkness, Latoya got in her car and drove to Lowell. Her heart raced with every mile. When she arrived at Robinson's home, the house was dark, silent. She knocked on the door. No answer. She knocked again. Still nothing. Neighbors told her they had seen Deja arrive earlier in the day, but they couldn't confirm if she had left. Latoya circled the property, looking for any sign of her daughter or granddaughter. She called the police, but they were hesitant to enter the property without clear evidence that something was wrong. After all, Deja was an adult. Maybe she had decided to stay. Maybe her phone had died. But Latoya persisted. She showed them the tracking data. She showed them the unanswered messages. She explained that this was completely out of character for her daughter. "I knew something was wrong," Latoya would later say. I didn't know what, but I knew something was wrong.
I knew something was wrong. I knew something was wrong. I didn't know what, but I knew something was wrong.
Her maternal instinct was right. In the early hours of November 26, the day after Thanksgiving, police responded to the Lowell Street home for a wellness check. A relative of Robinson's managed to climb through a window to get inside. He called out for Robinson. No response. When he reached Robinson's bedroom, he found the door locked. He kicked it open. Inside was a scene of unimaginable horror. Deja's body lay on the ground next to an air mattress. The violence was immediately apparent. Blood was splattered across the kitchen, the floors, and the walls. The evidence showed a brutal struggle. Deja had fought back. She had tried to survive. Police recovered a knife from the scene that was consistent with the injuries. But there was one small mercy in this nightmare. 2-month-old Delaney was found unharmed. Even in her final moments, Deja had protected her daughter. It was her last act as a mother, keeping her baby safe, even as her own life was being taken. Leonard Robinson was nowhere to be found. GPS data from Robinson's monitoring bracelet told investigators exactly what happened after Deja was killed. The data showed that Robinson left the Lowell Street home around 2:00 a.m. on Friday morning, hours after Deja had been murdered. He didn't go straight anywhere. Instead, he made multiple stops throughout Boston. Investigators believe he may have been trying to establish an alibi or dispose of evidence. He drove from neighborhood to neighborhood, stopping in different locations across the city. His final tracked location was in the Mattapan neighborhood, the same area where Deja's family lived. Then, at exactly 4:56 p.m. on Friday afternoon, Robinson made a deliberate choice. He cut off his GPS monitoring bracelet. The moment he removed it, an alert was triggered to law enforcement. Cutting off a court-ordered GPS device isn't an accident. It's a conscious decision. And in the eyes of investigators, it showed consciousness of guilt. Robinson knew what he had done, and now he was trying to disappear. Days passed. Deja's body had been found. Her family was grieving, but no arrest had been made. The weight was unbearable for Deja's family. They knew who was responsible. They knew where Deja had been. They knew who she had gone to see. But Robinson was still out there, somewhere in Boston, and the police hadn't found him yet. Latoya spoke to the media, her voice filled with pain and frustration. "I'm not angry," she said. "I'm more mad that they won't come forward." She made a direct plea to Robinson. Just turn yourself in.
They just need to turn themselves in. I'm lost. I'm hurt. I'm numb. I'm angry. And I want justice for my baby and my grandbaby.
Community members began holding vigils for Deja. Dozens of people gathered outside her family's home in Mattapan, lighting candles and comforting Latoya. They blocked off a portion of Woodball Avenue to mourn together, not just for Deja, but for her 2-month-old daughter who would now grow up without a mother. The pain in Latoya's words was raw. "I'm lost. I'm hurt. I'm numb. I'm angry, and I want justice for my baby and my grandbaby." The community prayed for an arrest. They prayed for answers. They prayed for justice. On November 29th, 4 days after Deja's body was discovered, police finally located Leonard Robinson in Boston. He was arrested without incident and charged with first-degree murder. The next morning, Robinson stood before a judge at Lowell District Court for his arraignment. He pleaded not guilty. Prosecutors presented their case. They had GPS data showing Robinson was at the home with Deja until 2:00 a.m. They had physical evidence from the crime scene, including the knife used to kill her. They had Robinson's social media posts from October, where he publicly questioned whether he was Delaney's father and stated he was mad at Deja. The prosecutors argued this provided a clear motive. The judge ordered Robinson held without bail. The decision was based on the severity of the murder charge and the fact that Robinson already had 2 pending gun cases in Suffolk Superior Court. Robinson's attorney, George Murphy, said he had not yet received any discovery in the case and had no comment. Justice had been served in the form of an arrest, but for Deja family, no arrest could ever bring her back. On a cold December evening, dozens of people gathered on Woodball Avenue in Mattapan. They came with candles, flowers, and heavy hearts. The street was temporarily closed as the community came together to honor Deja's memory. Prayer circles formed. People shared stories about Deja's kindness and her bright smile. Photographs of her were displayed, showing the vibrant young woman whose life had been stolen far too soon. The Dorchester Eagles Pop Warner cheerleaders, the program where Deja had once mentored younger girls, attended in full uniform. They stood together, a powerful reminder of the impact Deja had on her community. The crowd mourned not just for Deja, but for her 2-month-old daughter Delaney, who would now grow up without her mother. Deja's family refused to let grief be the end of her story. Her father, Lamont Jenkins, established a foundation focused on supporting young mothers and raising awareness about domestic violence. The Dorchester Eagles Pop Warner program created an annual scholarship in Deja's name for young athletes who demonstrate leadership and community service, the same qualities Deja had shown. The Boston Caribbean Festival Committee dedicated a special tribute to Deja during their next event, honoring her spirit and her love for her culture. A GoFundMe campaign titled Securing Delaney's Future was launched to create a trust fund for Deja's daughter. Community members, local businesses, and strangers contributed. A committee of family members and financial advisors was formed to manage the funds, ensuring they would be used for Delaney's education, health care, and future needs. LaToya made a promise. We're making sure she knows how much her mother loved her. The family committed to keeping Deja's memory alive through photos, stories, and the traditions Deja would have shared with her daughter. Deja's legacy would live on, not just in grief, but in action and love. Leonard Robinson was under court supervision for 2 pending gun cases. He was required to wear a GPS monitoring bracelet at all times. The system was supposed to track his movements and keep the community safe, but the system failed. Court records revealed that Robinson had violated his monitoring conditions multiple times in the weeks leading up to Thanksgiving. Yet he remained free. No one stopped him. No one intervened. On the day Deja was killed, Robinson cut off his GPS bracelet at 4:56 p.m. An alert was sent to law enforcement. But there was a critical gap between the moment he removed the device and when police took action. That gap cost precious time. Time that might have made a difference. The question remains, how many warnings were ignored before it was too late? Robinson had been released on $5,000 bail despite facing 2 open gun cases. Legal experts have called for a comprehensive review of how bail decisions are made, especially for defendants with histories of weapons charges. When domestic relationships are involved, the stakes are even higher. But the system didn't account for that. Robinson was free to go where he wanted, see who he wanted, and do what he wanted, as long as he wore the bracelet and followed his curfew. The cost of that freedom was Deja's life. There's another failure that often goes unnoticed: the lack of support reaching young mothers in volatile relationships. Traditional domestic violence resources exist, but they weren't effectively connecting with younger victims like Deja. Young people communicate through social media, not through hotlines or pamphlets. Support systems need to meet victims where they are, online, accessible, and relevant to their lives. Deja needed help, but the systems designed to protect her failed at every level. Looking back at Deja's story, the warning signs were there. Robinson publicly humiliated her on social media, questioning whether he was Delaney's father just weeks after she gave birth. This wasn't love. It was control disguised as doubt. The timing mattered too. The abuse escalated after a major life change, childbirth. Deja was in a vulnerable postpartum period adjusting to motherhood, and instead of support, she faced accusations and emotional attacks. Robinson also had 2 pending gun cases, violent charges that should have raised red flags about his danger level. Yet he remained free, and Deja remained in contact with him. Friends noticed Deja withdrawing, becoming quieter, but on social media everything looked perfect. The photos, the posts, the smiles. They hid what was really happening. This is common in abusive relationships. The public image rarely matches the private reality. Abuse doesn't usually start with violence. It starts small and escalates gradually. A partner who questions you constantly, someone who accuses you publicly, behavior that isolates you from friends and family. Trust your instincts. LaToya knew something was wrong when Deja didn't respond. That maternal instinct saved Delaney's life, even though it was too late to save Deja. Watch for changes in someone's behavior. Are they withdrawing? Do they seem anxious or scared? Is their partner controlling, jealous, or publicly humiliating them? If someone has legal troubles involving violence or weapons, that's a serious red flag. And if they're trying to isolate their partner from support systems, that's a major warning sign. We need stricter enforcement for people with violent charges. GPS violations should trigger immediate action, not days later. Young mothers need accessible support that meets them where they are, including online resources and community programs. If this story impacted you, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. Together we can raise awareness and prevent similar tragedies. Join our community dedicated to raising awareness. Hit subscribe and the notification bell so you never miss these important stories. And please, hit the like button. It helps us reach more people with these crucial messages. Deja's story matters. Her life mattered. And by sharing her story, we honor her memory and protect others. Deja Jenkins-Minus was more than the tragedy that took her life. She was a daughter who made her parents proud, a mother who adored her baby girl, a friend who lifted others up, a mentor to young cheerleaders, a young woman with dreams of building a career in early childhood development. Her legacy lives on in ways that matter. Delaney is growing up surrounded by family who make sure she knows how deeply her mother loved her. The scholarship in Deja's name continues to support young athletes who show the same leadership and kindness she did. The foundation her father established helps other young mothers facing difficult situations. And every person who learns to recognize the warning signs of abuse carries forward her story. Deja Jenkins-Minus was more than a victim of domestic violence. She was a light in her community, a devoted mother, and a young woman with dreams for her future. While her life was stolen far too soon, her story continues to inspire change, raise awareness, and protect others. That is her legacy. That is how we honor her memory. Rest in peace. Your light continues to shine through those who loved you and through every life your story touches.